Hi, guys. I'm trying to get my friend on here real quick. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Hello, good evening. How's everybody doing? I literally never go live. Hi, Fernando. Hi, Carol. Can you talk about the silent treatment? Yeah, we'll get started in just a second. I'm having my best friend come on with me. I know this looks so random because I literally never go live, but I'm happy to be here with y'all. My best friend is going to come on here with me. She's a therapist, and we're going to answer some questions tonight. Glad you're doing well, Fernando. Hey, Britt. I know it is surprising to see me on here. Y'all, going live literally gives me crippling anxiety. Where are my girlies with anxiety at? Okay. Yes, I know. Hi, Mike. Hey, Queen City. Hey, Derek. Babe, it won't pop up when I'm trying to invite Katie for some reason. Thank you for the flowers. Hey, Jen, Amber, thank you for coming. Sorry, y'all, give me 1 second. Hey, Derek, can you go over to Fame and Sin and see if Katie is live on there? She texted me and said people are going into the live, but whenever I click on hosts or whatever, her Fame and Sin doesn't pop up. Thank you so much, Kayla. Hey, y'all. Roro Lono. Roron Lolo. I'm glad the videos have been helpful. Thanks for sharing the live, Tracy. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Devora. I'm glad everything's been helpful. Hey. Hey, Missy. I'm glad you like the content. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Tara Taylor. Thank you so much, Chief Officer. All right, so as soon as I can get her on here, which is so annoying right now, then we'll get started answering some questions. Okay, Derek, she's live. Well, I don't know why it won't let me invite her. Oh my gosh, I just sent, great, that is not what I went to do. Now I invited 14 random people to go live with me. That was not the move. Y'all, does anybody know how I invite somebody else on here? Apparently what I'm doing is not the right thing. I'm glad it was helpful, Fernando. Hey, Black Velvet. I love your videos. They're so relatable. You're welcome, Christina. I'm glad it's been helpful. Hey, Sassy Steffi. Thanks for following. Maybe she has to come into your room and start her own. No, it's usually like if the other person goes live, then I click on host. I haven't been on here in like a year. Rising Phoenix. Oh my God, the queen is live. You're absolute. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that it's been helpful, guys. I'm fresh out of leaving my abuser. We have a child together, so I can't go no contact. Cynthia, your videos are so good. Marley, I'm glad. Y'all, seriously, I'm really like, this is my passion and my purpose now, so I'm really glad that the content is helpful. Katie said, please add me. I'm sitting here not saying shit. I can't find it. What are some tips to start dating again after being with a narcissist? I think the most important thing is just to be aware of the signs and don't look for that instant chemistry. I know the chemistry feels good, like when you meet someone and it's like y'all have this connection, but make sure to get to know them as a person and not just based off the chemistry, because that's how you'll fall into a trap with another narcissist. We're getting married in the fall. T left. Is it possible to turn into a narcissist after being with one for 6 years? No, you can't turn it. You can't like develop a personality disorder like as an adult. You're not going to be a narcissist, but you can pick up on narcissistic traits, but you can reverse them. Where's everybody from? Sacramento, Texas. Me too. Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Florida, Miami. Anybody else from Texas? I'm from Houston. I think you might be right. Jen, I'm going to click invite. Is it okay if I invite you and then you just see if it lets you come up here real quick and then you can get off? Just to see if that's the way. I think you might be right about it. Outside of Houston, Nani, cool. Texas, cool. Shamrock. Dubai, wow. Santa Rosa, California, Arkansas. Let me see your ring. It's so pretty. He did good. Pittsburgh. Hang on one sec. Hang on one sec. We're trying to get it figured out, but until then, I can answer any questions y'all have about anything. Every single scenario that you give, I lived it and didn't even realize it till I saw your videos. Yeah, it's pretty crazy once you see everything playing out and you've been through it. Okay, Derek says tap multi-guest, tap in. There is no multi-guest thing, Derek. It literally only says hosts and guests. That's it. Yeah, I know y'all haven't seen me live in a while, probably like a year. I never go live. Thank you so much. What are you saying OMG Cynthia for? Will the narcissists ever know what they did to hurt you, or are they oblivious to the pain they caused? I mean, oh, there's fame and sin. Okay. Invitation sent. All right, she's about to be here. So they automatically shift the blame to you until they play the victim. So it's really not going to ever click to them that they hurt you. Katie, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your camera's off.
Oh, how do I fix that? Okay.
Oh, wait, maybe I have to turn your camera on. I don't think I can turn it on for you.
Is that good? Save. Yeah.
There
Okay.
You're tiny on my screen. Do I look small on your screen?
I'm tiny on your screen too.
Oh, okay. All right, y'all, this is my best friend, Katie, and she is a therapist. We've been friends for like over 20 years. So we wanted to hop on here together and answer some questions together. Hi from Fort Myers. Hey, Bethany. Sorry I left you hanging over there for so long.
No, to everybody who's here, I was sitting it's been like 5-10 minutes. I was sitting on a live, not saying anything on her Derek and Sin account. And so many people were coming in and it was traumatic. I've never done a live or anything. Well, I've done one with Cynthia a long time ago, which was pretty cool, but so thanks for bearing with us because I don't know what I'm doing, but I wanted to be here and I wanted to help Sin and like answer questions and everything that you guys want to ask and all of those kinds of things. So we are here. Thank you for bearing with us as we like figured this out.
I kept picturing you because y'all, she had to go live on my joint account with Derek. We have like a couples account, which y'all should go follow that one too. But so like I was thinking people were over there like wondering like who the fuck is this on that account? And
I'm sure that they were.
The fact that you were just sitting there is hilarious.
Yeah, and I saw Stephanie just was laughing at us.
All right. So
okay.
Hey, can you see this chat over there, Katie?
Yes, I can.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Thank y'all so much for the compliments. I appreciate it. Y'all are sweet. And yeah, thank you, Derek. He said Katie's TikTok is at Counseling Classroom. So even though she's logged in under our couples account, y'all should go follow her at some point after you get off of here or whatever at Counseling Classroom. She has good content. All right, so we can start answering some questions. And then a little bit later, Katie and I want to talk to you guys about a new online course that we launched about narcissistic abuse recovery as well. But we'll get started answering some questions. Mitchell, your videos make me laugh and want to cry at the same time. Good, that's the goal. Laugh through the pain. How do I deal with the guilt of ending a friendship because she wouldn't leave a narcissist? Oh, Katie, that might be a good one for you to answer since you were kind of the friend who was dealing with it on the other side when I was going through it.
Yeah, no, being the friend, it can really like put you through the ringer because you want them to succeed, you want them to see what's going on, but also you're watching like their personality leave, like the self-destructive behavior of going back over and over again. And, you know, at a certain point, if it is affecting you negatively, then yeah, it is kind of like time to step away. And, you know, one thing is like we have this guilt, and sometimes it feels like we're doing something wrong. But sometimes if we like listen to what our feelings are, that guilt is there for a reason. Like that guilt is kind of like there to say something is wrong, because usually when we have that guilt, it's because we're like putting up a boundary or we're having to step away from something. And, you know, maybe our whole lives we have kind of like self-abandoned, or, you know, we've kind of like not listened to the signals in our body. And so that guilt is kind of there to like keep us in those patterns. But also like, let's listen to that guilt, because if we're having that, then it is possible that we're getting to a point where we're kind of like trusting ourselves. And sometimes, you know, like walking away, or not even walking away, but just kind of like putting some distance so that you can kind of make sure that like you're doing what you need to make sure that you are where you need to be. That's okay. You don't have to like shut the door. You don't have to barricade it. You know, you can always kind of like open the door back up to that person. But if you need to like protect your own boundaries, protect your own sanity, because it hurts to see your friend continually like hurt themselves, you know, that's not selfish. You're taking care of yourself. And so, you know, soothing your guilt and letting your guilt know this is what is best for me. And so I don't know if that answers the question. It doesn't make it easy, because it's not easy. It hurts. It hurts to do this. So
yeah. I had one friend that told me after I got out of the situation and I started talking to her again, she was like, I had already like mourned the loss of you as a person, because she thought that she was never going to get me back. So I think like every situation is different. You're lucky if you have friends that stick by you through it all. But it's really hard from the other side too. All right. Someone says all the negative things that he told me, it's hard to let go. How can I let them go? I don't know how long you've been out of the situation. If it's super fresh, you know, that voice is going to be there. Staying away, stay no contact if possible is the best thing, so that you don't have those seeds being planted in your head. But also something I tell people too is like whatever thoughts you have, like whatever intrusive thoughts that you hear the narcissist like telling you in your head, write down like the opposite of those things and like turn them into affirmations and start reading yourself those affirmations every day, so you can remind yourself like I'm not any of those things that this voice in my head is telling me that I am. Love your videos. I've been dealing with a sociopath for 33 years. Fuck, that's a long time. That is a long time. I went no contact 5 months ago, but she still contacts my mom after the discard. Tell your mom to block her. Your mom needs to block her. Like, that's not okay. What the Gray Rock is cooking. Any videos, webinars, or resources about financial abuse? I mean, I have some videos about it. We had the online course that we just launched as well, which you can find the link to that through my bio. Let's see. It's basically like separating from an addict friend. That's true.
That's something that we talk about in one of the modules, is actually like how similar the narcissistic abuse cycle is to addiction. So like you have layers upon layers of like different addictive cycles that are going on. So it really makes sense. So like, yeah, it does feel like my friend is an addict because yeah, they are partaking and they are a part of an addictive cycle that they don't want to be. And so it can definitely feel like that. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, trauma bonding is an addiction. That's why it's so hard to leave,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we know it's bad for us. We know that this situation is toxic. Even we might even get to a point where we realize that it's abusive when we start talking to people about it, but it's like shit, for some reason I still want to go back, and it's because it literally creates an addictive cycle in your body. So, the people who say just leave don't get it. Somebody says, how do you stop attracting the same people in different wrapping paper? I mean, it's that is tough. Like, but and Katie's going to have some good answers for this. But I know my advice is like you have to look within and see. Well, okay, let me preface this by saying that abuse is never our fault. It is not your fault that you were abused. However, there are parts of ourself that we might need to look into to see why we keep getting into these situations. I know for myself, which that was the only narcissistic relationship I had encountered, but like I have always struggled with people pleasing tendencies and like a severe lack of boundaries. So those are some things that can keep you stuck in this cycle and, you know, chasing that same person in a different body every time. Katie, do you want to add to that?
Yeah. So we do. We have patterns that we follow. We have, you know, things from our past that kind of like create who we are, then, you know, continue into our relationships, whether it is romantic, whether it is a friendship, whether it is kind of like work dynamics as well. But like, one of the things that can kind of follow us from childhood is like our attachment style. And, you know, we kind of have like a range of different attachment styles. And if we have one that kind of like falls or like teeters more towards insecure, then, you know, that's kind of what we then seek out. It's not something that we are deliberately doing. It's not something that like we're pursuing like, okay, like I want to find somebody who, you know, is going to do the same thing to us, but it feels familiar and it feels like, in kind of like in a messed up way, it can feel like home. You find someone that reminds you of relationships that you've had in your past, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, like this is kind of like what love is. This makes sense to me. And then later on down the line, you're like, oh my God, like it's the same shit like over and over again, right? And so, you know, just kind of like how we were raised in the attachment styles that we had with our caregivers, you know, if they are insecure, can kind of like lead us to find those same things. But also like, you know, Sin was saying, like, just some of our characteristics, which are actually like great things. Sometimes, like, you know, manipulative people see that and they're like, perfect, perfect. This is great. That people pleasing, like, yes, yes, yes. Like, I like that in my partner because they're going to bend over backwards. They're going to, like, you know, it's never going to be my fault. Like, all those kinds of things. Like, if we see the good in people, or if, oh gosh, like, we have fixer, you know, qualities where it's like, it's just kind of in us. We want to help, we want to fix, but then, you know, we end up getting stuck in these because we see someone and we're like, oh, but if I just love them enough, or like if I show them that I care enough, or, you know, if I do this one thing, then maybe like we're going to make it work. And so certain characteristics, which are actually like really admirable, can kind of like, you know, be very admirable to a partner who might, tend to manipulate. And then again, just kind of going back to the familiarity, right? If it's something that we've had in our past, if we've had like, you know, formative friendships that were like this, if we had, you know, parent dynamics that were like this, then it can repeat itself.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, you know, people ask about getting into these situations, and they're two like ends of the spectrum. Like we can go down the route of like seeing all the things that are like wrong with us, and like doing the inner work is important too, but it's also like positive things about us that get exploited when it's in the hands of a narcissist. So it's really like learning to set and enforce those boundaries to protect those positive qualities. It's not get rid of these positive qualities that you have and, you know, change into a different person. It's like protect yourself with those boundaries. Boundaries are important.
Sin brings up like a perfect point of like, you know, really understanding boundaries and how they work. Mm-hmm.
And in our new online course, we have a whole section about the different types of boundaries and how to learn about them. And we have some assignments and journal prompts to help you strengthen those. If y'all just hopped on, nice to see y'all. Glad y'all are here tonight. This is my best friend, Katie. She is a therapist, and we decided to pop on here tonight. We've been friends for over 20 years. We wanted to answer some questions and chit chat, and also talk a little bit about the online course that we just spent the last year making together, that really goes through the whole everything about narcissistic relationships, whether you're just getting into the relationship and figuring out what the fuck is going on, whether you're trying to figure out like, how did I end up here? Whether you're trying to figure out like, why the fuck is it so hard to get out of this relationship? Whether you are trying to emotionally detach, whether you're trying to co-parent, whether you're trying to stay no contact, whether you're trying to get out of the relationship and heal from it, whether you're trying to grieve from it. We cover all of that in our new online course. And it's a really cool course. We have 8 modules. There are videos for each one. We have assignments, we have journal prompts, we have surveys that help you look at your inner self and, you know, your relationship, just plenty of good shit that can help you recover.
Mm-hmm. And Cynthia, can you tell them where to find this?
Yeah, so if y'all click the link in my bio, it's the second link. Priscilla, in the bio, it says Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Course. And right now we have a coupon code. If you type in Resilient AF 10, you'll get 10% off. And that is not, it's just temporary because we're just launching it. But yeah, link in my bio, click the link in my bio and then go to the second one that says Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Course. I didn't know you go live. That's because I never do. Sorry, y'all. I know everybody always asks me to go live, and I literally have anxiety about it. So that's why I never do, but I'm here. Hi. Hey, Liz. Yeah, that's the thing is, yeah. I mean, narcissists do like create these insecurities about us, like within the relationship. And then they turn around and call you insecure, so it makes you feel fucking crazy. But you're being gaslit. If the main focus is being put on you being insecure after they created these insecurities and like cheated and lied, then there's definitely some gaslighting going on. I'm glad it's been helpful, Cassandra. Hey, Holly. Cynthia, how long has it been? I got out of that relationship in 2020. 3:15 a.m. London time. Well, thanks for being here. Let's see. Narcissists view boundaries as challenges. The bigger the boundary, the harder the narcissist tries, says Goddess. Yeah. They're going to try to break down those walls and violate every boundary that you have because, you know, abusive relationships are based off of this power and control dynamic. The more they can break down your boundaries, the more control they have over you.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's so important to like, you can't expect them to, you can't say what your boundaries are and then expect them to respect it, right? Like, you can't do this to me. Like, you need to stop calling my phone. Like, because yeah, they take it as a challenge. They're like, oh, really? You're going to tell me what to do? Okay. Like, I'm not going to do that shit. Like, there's no way, right? It's going to like up the ante, right? So the boundaries are you telling them what you're going to do, like when your boundary is crossed. And so all of the power is in your court, right? And so, you know, if they're calling you nonstop, like you continue to like not answer any calls, like you go that no contact, like all of that kind of stuff. Like it is completely up to you to like enforce those boundaries. And so that's kind of, you know, they're going to keep trying, they're going to keep knocking it down, they're going to like try to break you. And so that's why yeah, you have to like be so resilient and so strong and so done and like so to the other point of it so that you can stick to your boundaries. Because it's really freaking hard, especially when like they know every single little thing, like how to manipulate you or like what exactly to say to get you to come back. That's why it's so, so hard to be the one to enforce your boundaries.
Yeah, and that's it. You bring up a good point, Katie, because a lot of people I talk to also say things like, yeah, I mean, I set the boundary with them. I told them that they needed to stop doing this. And like, that's not what a boundary is. Like, you have to actually like enforce it. You're going to tell them what you will and will not tolerate. You telling them what they can and can't do is not a boundary. Like, if you do this, well, then I'm going to end the relationship, you know, or if you keep talking to me that way, then I'm not going to have this conversation with you anymore. There has to be a consequence, or what you're saying to them doesn't matter. They're going to keep doing it over and over if you're not going to do shit about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the relationship for 2.5 years. What the Gray Rock is cooking says no response is not the same as no contact. I agree with that. Yeah, I talk to a lot of people who like don't block the number, and y'all, I realize that blocking is not possible in every situation when kids are involved and things like that. But just for the purpose of this comment and this context, I talk to a lot of people who don't block the number, and they're like, I've been no contact for 3 months and I don't feel better. They're texting me, but I'm not replying. And the thing is that that's not no contact. You can't even have like you can't even read a text message. They shouldn't be having that access to you, because even if you're not responding, you're reading those messages or you're reading the emails or you're listening to the voicemails, and those fucked up seeds and the gaslighting is still getting planted in your head, whether you're responding to it or not. You have to have a clean cut from everything, no access to you if possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you're trying to swim away, but you have an anchor still attached to you, you know?
Hmm.
So you need to cut. You just need to cut it.
Cut it.
Okay.
Okay, Vanessa says, how do I remove him from social media? I still love him. Um, it's okay. It's not hard to, I mean, it is hard. Sorry. It's very hard to block, and don't just remove him, block him. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. The thing about it is that you have to realize that it's difficult and also know that it's the best thing for you and do it even though it's difficult. Um, and I also think that kind of digging deeper into what you're saying, like, I still love him, there's a huge difference between loving someone and being trauma bonded to someone. And the lines get so blurred when you're in an abusive relationship. Like, I used to think that I loved that person. And now I look back and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? That clearly wasn't love. Like, think about, like, what do I actually love about this individual as a person? What do I love about this relationship? Is this person adding value to my life? Or am I just stuck on this emotional roller coaster of like extreme highs and extreme lows that keep me on the hamster wheel? Is it an addiction? Is it trauma bonding? Or is it actually love? Hey, Netta Speaks. I love you too. Thanks, Ryan Wheeler. He said, you speak the truth. I try. Diane says, I left a 6-year toxic relationship and I'm at peace now. I love that positive comment, because it can be so dark, like when you're first trying to get out of it, or if you just left and you're like, shit, like, I don't think I'm ever going to feel better. I might as well just get back in the relationship. But the thing is, like, it does take time. It takes intentionality, and you will look back just like I do now and say, what the fuck was I doing? The peace will come. Took me 9 months to block. That's a long time, Jen Amber, but you got there. And you're doing awesome these days too. Y'all should follow Jen too. She's moderating in here. She has narc content and it's good. My daughter is 15 and she's picking up on his behavior. Katie, do you want to comment on that one?
Yeah, that's so tough. That really is tough because, you know, our kids, they model us, and they do as they do. They do as we do. They don't do as we speak. Like we can completely lecture, we can like tell them how to act, we can do all of this stuff, but like they do what we do. And so when we have, someone who has like a lot of narcissistic traits, and then we see our kids starting to do that, it can be really scary. We can start to like future think of like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen to my kid? What are they going to be, in 5 years, in 10 years? Like what's going to happen to them? What are they going to do to us? What's really important is to kind of like stay in the moment, whenever we feel ourselves kind of like going to the future, thinking of like those what if scenarios. And a lot of times, 99% of the time, it is like that negative, like what if, bring ourselves back and just remember, like, I can't control, what my partner does, or my co-parent, or whatever. I cannot control them. What I can control is what they see from me. What I can control is being the best parent I need to be for them, right? What I also can do is, because if they are modeling that behavior, I'm sure that they're getting manipulation, and they're getting, like trauma from that parent. And what I can do is, I know that they're not going to repair, because like they think that what they're doing is like God's gift to earth, and like nothing is wrong. What I can do is I can repair with my kid, and I can model that pro-social behavior for them, right? They might not be able to see it now, but there is going to be a time when they break apart just enough from that other parent that they're going to be like, what the fuck was going on? There's always that like aha moment, right? And that's where you're going to be there. That's when they're going to come to you and be like, what was going on, right? If you can be that solid pillar for them, if you can be that role model for them, if you can always be the safe place for them to go, when they finally get to the point and the realization, and like their, brain is completely, fully formed, because it takes into the mid-20s for them to be completely developed, like in their brain and all of that stuff, especially if I'm remembering, like if they were 15, right? They're going to come to you, and they're going to start to realize that like shit was really, really off. So again, you model what you want to see in them. You be that safe space for them. You repair when you know that their other parent isn't going to, because all of that is just going to like really be what they need in the moment. Because if we start to future think, then we're going to start, acting a little crazy, because we're going to try to like keep them from becoming something that we don't know if they're going to become. So let's be what we need to be for them in the moment. And it's hard. It's just always hard. So
Smiley says, I've been no contact for 7 months, but I keep checking his social media. Why? I told him off. Here, you keep checking it because here's the thing. Like we talked about, trauma bonding is an addiction. And when you check his social media, you're like getting a tiny little dopamine hit from that. Just like you're trying to like match the hits that you got when you were in the relationship. So even though you're not with this person anymore, you're trying to latch on to any little thing that's still connected to that person, to still feel like you're with them in some sort of way. It's like an impulse. It's a craving. So you really have to like wean yourself off if you can't do it cold turkey. But like I was talking about a little while ago, it's important as fuck to like stop checking the social media and to block, because you're feeding that addiction, you're feeding the rumination, you're feeding the obsessive thoughts, you're feeding all of it, and it just keeps you on the hamster wheel. So hit the block button. I always tell people, make a list of replacement activities that you can choose from, like so you can have something tangible. Make a list, like can I go for a walk instead of giving into this craving? Can I reach out to a friend? Can I go to the gym? Different things, whatever it is for you, that you feel you could do instead. Make a list, and every time you have a craving, take out that list and say, what can I do in this moment instead of giving into this fucked up impulse that I'm having? Because it's not ever going to do anything positive for you when you're checking the social media. You could also start tracking your mood. How do I feel every time I check the social media? Does it give me anxiety? Does it make me scared? It's probably going to be all like fucked up feelings that you have. And then you can look at this mood tracker and see, wait a minute, this isn't doing me any good at all. I feel terrible every time I check the social media.
mm-hmm.
See. Yeah, the impulses are hard. They're hard, but it's being in an abusive relationship is also hard. And not being able to heal from an abusive relationship because you keep checking the social media and keep ruminating is also hard. So you have to like choose your hard. If you block and you make it through those cravings and those impulses, they will come less and less the longer that you stay blocked, keep them blocked, and stay no contact. Like, it does get better, but you have to take those steps in order to get to the other side. You have to make a change in order for shit to change. Hey, Melanie. That's a cool name. I've never heard that before. I'm glad the content has been helpful. I need to use this for eating. You mean like when you like feel like when you're eating too much or something and have a list of replacement activities? That's actually funny that you brought that up, because sometimes I tell people to like set a time or two for the cravings, and I actually reference food. Like, if you're having a craving for something shitty you're not supposed to be eating, and they say like set a timer for X amount of time, like you can do that for the impulses too. If you feel like reaching out, like, let me set a timer for like 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then give yourself a little reward when you don't give into that craving. Which, when you get that little reward, it can also give you a dopamine hit and replace the dopamine hit that you were trying to get from checking the social media. Why do they cut people off who catch on to their actions? Narcissists hate being fucking exposed. They live in this distorted reality with this false sense of self, and they need supply to validate this distorted reality that they live in. So the moment that someone says, hey, I see what's behind that mask, they don't like that shit. They don't want to be around those people. They want people that enable this or validate this facade that they're trying to live in.
Yeah, and then once you like see past the mask, you're not giving them the type of validation and like all of it that they are wanting. You know what I mean? Like, you're seeing past the bullshit, like you're not falling for it anymore. So then you are not good supply for them anymore.
Sorry, I had to turn on the heat. It's freezing.
And Simple left me. I was like, I can't read these fast enough. I don't know what to
do. Sorry, I'm like shaking. I'm really cold. Let's see. They love when they can see you suffer. Yeah, I mean, anything that gives them power and control, they love. They love being able to trigger you. They love being able to provoke you. They love being able to be in control of your emotions and pull on the puppet strings as the puppeteer. So yeah, if you're suffering because of them, that means they have power and control, and they definitely love that shit. All right, Josie says he posted something on social media to humiliate me 6 months after I left him. I think that sounds about right. He lost power and control. He felt the loss of power and control. So he tried to get some attention and gain that power and control back by posting something crazy about you to try to get a reaction from you. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, it's like, that smear campaign will happen, one, so that they can keep their side of the story living, and they can, persuade like the general consensus around them and try to distort it and like turn them against you. But two, they're hoping that it gets through you through the grapevine, like especially if you've blocked them or gone no contact, because it's almost like a reverse way to like hoover you back in. Like, I'm going to spread some bullshit about you so that you come back and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? But then you're back in their life, right? They're getting that confrontation. They're getting all of that. And so don't fall for that. Like, that is not a reason to break no contact. That is not a reason to say like, take that shit down. None of that. You let them be crazy. You let them do all of that. People who know you know that that is not real. You have to have a ton of self-trust going on at the moment so that you don't go back and try to fix the situation, because it's like arguing with a brick wall. Nothing's going to change. That's why you left in the first place. So don't let that be the reason that you try to like go back and try to fix something, because it's all in the plan. It's all in their plan.
I agree 100%, Katie. Britt says, don't fall in love with potential. And that's exactly what the fuck we do when we're with a narcissist, because they're not actually that person from the beginning. The person from the beginning does not exist. They created this version of themselves that, you thought was going to be the person they were forever. It was a mask, right? And then we keep holding on to that mask because they showed us at the beginning the potential of who they could be if they really were that person. But that's not who they are. And then they'll give you like glimpses of the mask, like after an abusive episode. Let me put the mask back on real quick just to show you that I could be this person. Don't you like this person? But I'm not really this person. Like you're right. Don't fall in love with potential, because that potential is never going to amount to anything in them. What?
Just some of this, it was like expensive gifts. Like, are they trying to make a point? And it's like, yeah, of course. It's like that love bombing, right? Like, the bigger the gift, like the better of a person I am. Like, I bet you didn't get gifts like this before. And it is nice, right? And in fact, like in our course, it was kind of like things to watch out for love bombing. And it was like, I had to laugh while we were talking about it because I'm like, they're going to do nice things for you. They're going to get you really nice gifts. They're going to do chores around the house. They're going to like go and run your errands. And it's like, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want all of that? That sounds amazing. Like, sign me up. Like, I sign my partner up. Like, get them ready to do that. But we have to be aware of like the timing. We have to be aware of like the intent behind it. We have to be aware of like, is this disproportionate to like how long we've known each other? Like, yeah, this is kind of amazing, but at the time, like, I just met you, right? Or like, this is coming after a really big fight, or like, this only happens after we have arguments. And so it's really kind of putting on putting on your spectacles and like looking through some of this stuff, because if there's like a little bit of like hesitation, let's listen to that, because your body is trying to tell you, wait a minute, like, this isn't normal. You wouldn't get a gift this expensive, like right off the bat, right? We don't have to call it off, but like, I'm gonna log this and remember this, and be on the lookout if there's more things that are happening like this.
Yeah, I think that's important. Exactly what Katie said. I think if you look back on your relationship with the narcissist, if you're out of it or if you're still in it and you look back at the beginning, you'll probably like remember that you could feel your gut saying something like, maybe it was saying like, this feels kind of overwhelming. It feels like too much, even though it feels good. Like, you have a little bit of anxiety about it at the same time. Like, just seems like something is off about it. Steph says intimacy always seems the best from them. Here's the thing. A lot of people talk about that. And the only reason that seems the way it is because it's a lot of times the only time that they're nice to you. Like, or they, y'all have sex after an abusive episode, and that's how you get connected again. Or you're being, they're withholding compliments, they're withholding, affection, they're withholding emotional safety, they're withholding all of these things from you in your everyday life. But then when you have sex, then all of a sudden you're all connected again. So that amplifies the sex, and it makes it feel like, oh, that was the best I ever had. It's not. It's not. Trauma bonding makes it feel that way. How long did it take you to figure out that you were with a narcissist? I didn't know that. I didn't know all the things I know now until I was out of it. Like, I had started reading a little bit towards the end. And like, I came across the word narcissist and narcissistic abuse and things like that, and shit started to click. But it wasn't until I was out of it that like I was able to get so much clarity like I have now. I know, Jen. I wish you could pin comments too. Sorry, y'all. If we're missing one of your questions, it's not because we're ignoring or not trying to answer it. Just on live, it's kind of annoying because they just keep scrolling, and then I don't know where I was when I try to go back to one. So trust we're not scrolling past you on
Yeah,
purpose.
just write it again. Yeah, put it in again, and because we want to answer as much as we can.
Hmm. Yeah. And also, just wanted to say again, because it looks like we have a few more people here. Um, if y'all don't know me, I'm Cynthia. I am a narcissistic abuse survivor. My content is about narcissistic abuse and recovery. And I have my best friend Katie on here tonight, who is a licensed therapist. And we are on here to answer questions about narcissistic abuse, any questions about it, about how to recover, about anything, all the things. And Also, to talk about a little bit about our online course that we just launched together, from the perspective of a survivor and a therapist who has all the clinical knowledge. So we thought it would be a great job to kind of put a course out to help people recover. And we're just really excited. We're proud of it, and we're excited for how many people it's going to help. That information is through the link in my bio. You can find information about the course. All right, let's see. Why does it take so long to heal? Because it's fucking traumatic. It's not a regular
Yeah.
breakup. It's not just like, oh, like, you know, it's not just a regular, like, yeah, I'm at a loss for words, but it's not a regular breakup. Like, it's literally, there's so many layers of trauma attached to it.
Yeah, there was one quote that I love, and it's like, if the wound was deep, it's gonna have to heal many times. And like this runs really, really deep. Every time you heal a part of it, there's another part that needs to be healed as well, because their reach and the things that are going on that they have, all the parts of you that they've touched, there's so many different parts to heal. It's not like Cynthia said, it's not just a normal breakup, right? There was manipulation, there was gaslighting, there was isolation, there was so much that happened. There was an addiction, there was trauma bonding. Like it's just so very deep. And that's why it takes so long to heal.
Yeah. Also, I saw a mutual friend on here. Her name is Sabrina, and she makes content about narcissistic friends. And she recently made a video about one of the reasons why it takes so long to heal is because of the amount of times that you have gone through this cycle with them. It's not just one time that you've been love bombed, devalued, discarded. It's like it's over and over and over. So it's almost like you've gone through like 100 fucking breakups, and you have to like mourn and grieve each one and heal from each one of those cycles that you've been through. So you really have to give yourself some grace when you're trying to heal. It's not going to be quick if you do it the right way. Like if you really, really, truly heal, you're going to have to take the time that it takes.
Mm-hmm. And Cynthia has said this before, but it's like you are grieving someone who didn't exist, which I think is the biggest mind fuck, is like you really thought you found your person, or you really thought that like this was it, this was the time, and then they're not who you thought they are. And so it's kind of like, not only am I grieving that this is over, not only am I grieving that like I was in this for so long, not only am I grieving like all of the like trauma that I went through, but also like I'm grieving that like the person that I thought never even existed. And so it's just layers.
Yeah, you're right. That is the biggest mind fuck. Not only am I grieving all of this, but now I have to grieve that the person didn't even exist. Like all of that was fake. That's a huge part that gets people caught up. Is once you get out, you do all this ruminating, you get stuck in this cycle of like replaying the relationship over and over through a different lens. Now, when you're in it, like you believe that some of those moments are genuine, you believe that like they actually care. And when you're out of it, you look back and you can't stop replaying it. Like, what about that minute? Was that moment genuine or was it fake? Are you telling me the whole relationship was fake? Like, what the fuck? It's really just a huge mind fuck, and it takes time to sort through. Show self-compassion, give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Susan, the betrayal is real. Betrayal trauma is real. And yeah, grieving is so important. You're right, what the gray rock is cooking. Yep. You keep trying to find the good in them. Yeah, that's a huge part that keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck. And you're conditioned also to do that. And it doesn't help that they give you glimpses again of that person from the beginning. They give you a glimpse of them. They give you a glimpse of a good person that they could be. So you latch onto those moments, because what we want is not to leave the relationship. What we really want is for them to change and return to the person from the beginning so that we can stay with them. So anything that we can latch on to that aligns with that story that we're telling ourselves helps us. It's like we relieve that cognitive dissonance when we can say, okay, like, well, that seemed like a good part of him. Maybe he really is good. And we latch on to something so tiny, it's probably the bare minimum because we want to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to start reminding yourself of like the fucked up parts. Stop focusing on the tiny bare minimum thing that he did when he got you a snack yesterday and think about the fact that he tore apart the whole house yesterday. Like focus on the fucked up shit instead of grasping for the little things. He or she, by the way. Didn't mean to say only he. Narcissism can be any gender, narcissists. What do I do if my partner's stonewalling me? Do you want to start that one, Katie?
You start that one.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not like talking too much and not giving you a chance.
No, you're doing great.
So yeah, for stonewalling, I think, what they want us to do is chase and beg for them to talk to us, because I've been in that situation and I've done that shit. Because for me, stonewalling and the silent treatment is, for me, in my opinion, in my situation, it was worse than the yelling. It was worse than the breaking things. It was worse than the like very apparent rage, because it feels very dehumanizing when someone won't look at you, like this person that you have been so vulnerable with, this person that has gained your trust, this person who's supposed to protect you and keep you safe, won't even look at you, won't speak to you, won't respond to you, leaves the house, won't answer their phone. Like all of those things, really trigger you and cause you a lot of anxiety. And they're doing it on purpose. They want you to chase them. They want to be in power and control of your emotions. So the best thing you can do is the opposite of what they want you to do. The best thing you can do is the opposite of what that first impulse is, to call and blow up their phone, call them, 100 times and try to maintain. It feels like you have some type of control over the situation when you keep calling. You're like, okay, well, I have some type of control because I'm still calling. At least they might pick up this time. But it just makes it worse. And you get disappointed over and over and you have more and more anxiety. The best thing you can do is stop calling. The best thing you can do is start doing other activities. The best thing you can do is meditate. The best thing you can do is take a bath. The best thing you can do is something for yourself that doesn't involve chasing them and trying to get them to talk to you, because that just keeps you on the hamster wheel again.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. It's a form of neglect. Of course it's abuse, but it's neglect, and sometimes neglect really gets overlooked. But neglect can hurt so bad and stay with you for so long, sometimes even longer than, other types of abuse, because it sends the message that you don't matter as a person, that you are not worthy, that you are not good enough to have interactions with. And then that translates like to your self-worth, that translates to your confidence, that translates to how you present yourself like in the world. And so that stonewalling does all of that. And then when they finally break it, because there's nothing you can do. There's nothing that you can do to break. It's completely up to them, because it is a complete power play. But like when it's finally over, it's like, it doesn't matter what they did. You're just happy that it's over. You forgive everything. You're like, oh my God, thank God they're talking to me again. Thank God they're okay. Thank God like everything's fine. And like everything is forgiven. And then it worked, right? And every time, like Cynthia said, like the best thing that you can do is just to not reach out, to not call, to not do those things, because every time you do, every time you call, every time you try to break it, every time you do that, you're giving them like a little supply. It's working. Perfect. It's like every time you are being drugged down and suffering even more, it is putting them up higher and higher and higher. And so it is just such an insidious and just scary and horrible way that they use manipulation. So yeah.
Thank y'all for the cute little glasses and stuff. But yeah, Katie's right. A huge thing about stonewalling and silent treatment and all that stuff too is that they're trying to avoid accountability for whatever was brought up or for whatever their behavior was that you didn't like. And just like Katie said, when they finally come back after they haven't been talking to you for hours, or after they left the house and didn't pick up the phone, or they disappeared for the night, well, you're so addicted and you're so trauma bonded that when they finally get back, you're like, oh shit, thank God they're back. Fuck whatever they did. I'm just happy you're back home. And that's what they want. And now you don't even want to talk about what the original issue was anymore. It's very manipulative. So again, the best thing you can do is to not blow up their phone. Take some of your control and your own power back. Mm-hmm. Britt says, so when we go no contact, are we stonewalling? No. Stonewalling Or the silent treatment comes with a manipulative intent to gain power and control, like we just talked about. Going no contact is you removing yourself from a toxic situation, an abusive situation. You are protecting your peace. There's a huge difference, and the difference lies in the intent.
I completely agree with that. It is all the intent. One is to hurt someone and to punish someone and to make them feel like shit and to excuse accountability and all of the things that Cynthia like said before. And then the other one is just I'm protecting myself. This means no harm to you. This is because I need to remove myself from the situation, right? The intent is completely different between them, even though it may look similar on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Which, again, Katie and I cover this in our new e-course that we just launched. It has 8 modules. We go through everything about a narcissistic relationship, whether you're just figuring out what the fuck is going on and you need validation, or you're out of the relationship and you're trying to grieve and heal. There's assignments with each module. We have journal prompts, just literally everything you need. And again, like I've been through it, so I kind of tell it from like a tell it like it is perspective. Y'all know me, y'all know my content. And then Katie is a therapist, so she has all of the like clinical knowledge that you need to heal from this. So the combination, I think, is really helpful. And the course has everything that you need to help yourself recover. Y'all can find that through the link in my bio. Hey, Therese.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to not call during silent treatment and peaking socials. Keep in mind, they beat us down. Yeah, it's really hard. It is extremely hard. Y'all, I mean, I was crazy in that relationship. Like I said, I was blowing up the phone. I was out in my car, driving around the city as if I could ever find him in the city. Like I know where he was, like, but I was driving around calling. I mean, I was doing all of the things because it does make you feel crazy. But at a certain point, the only way you're going to start emotionally detaching yourself is when you start to pull back on those behaviors, because you have to start gaining control over your own reactions to the situation. Thank you, Jamie. How to deal with this situation when we have a child together. Jam, I don't know if you're still in here or not, but I guess my first question would be, do y'all have a custody agreement in place? Do you use a parenting app? Are you using the Gray Rock technique? Are you going low contact? Do you have strong boundaries in place? Those are some good starting points. Why doesn't a narcissist want to parent their child when you go no contact? So obviously this is not the case in every situation. Some narcissistic parents use the child to manipulate the other parent, or they put them in the middle. But in this case, in regards to your question, many narcissists just don't give a fuck about their children, unfortunately. That lack of empathy that they have is not just like towards you, like that's them as a person. And their child is often just another form of supply for them. And that's that. I know that's sad, but it's the truth. I never understood why I would forgive him the second he called me back or came home. Yeah, that's the trauma bonding and that cycle. I did the same thing. You know, you finally get that call after you've been calling 200 times in a row and you feel a sense of relief. And that's what they want, for you to immediately forgive them so they can avoid accountability and never address what they did in the first place. Silent treatment definitely drives you fucking crazy.
Because they are in this relationship, they are of course the one that they're making you feel the lowest that you've ever felt in your life. But then when that person who makes you feel so low then comes back and acknowledges you, breadcrumbs you, gives you the smallest thing, then it makes you feel higher than anybody else can. in your life at that moment. And so it's that cycle. It's that cycle. And we cover that, I believe it's module 3. We go into like such depth onto the cycle and why this happens and like how deep it goes and the chemicals in your body that are being pulled back and forth and like the psychology behind it and all of the stuff that like the narcissist doesn't even know what they're doing, but like they know exactly what they're doing, but they don't know the clinical terms for it, right? But it's all of that that's coming into play.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's also like that harm and soothe cycle. That's the most fucked up part, or one of the most fucked up parts about this, is that the narcissist is the person who is harming you. They're causing you pain, they're abusing you, but they're also the person who gives you relief from the same pain that they caused you. So you're getting both from the same body, from the same person. They're hurting you, but they also make you feel better. So then that's what makes it so hard to leave, because it feels like they are the only person who can make you feel better again. But the only way to break that feeling and that belief is to get away for long enough and start to realize that there are other ways that you can feel good about yourself other than the narcissist.
And that's why they isolate you, because when you do break away, when you are away for long enough, like those rose-colored glasses come off, like the fog is lifted, and you're like, what the, right? So they keep you isolated so that there is no other person, there is no other thing that can make you feel better besides them.
Exactly, Katie. And there's no other reality available other than their distorted reality. When you're isolated from everything that's real, you're just stuck in this little distorted reality, toxic bubble with them, with all the gaslighting. And that's what makes it so hard to like break out of. You don't know what's real anymore. Feel fucking crazy. But that's why it's also so hard. I mean, not so hard. That's why it's also so important to talk about what you're going through. When I started talking about what I was going through, when I started talking to Katie about what I was going through, when I started telling more and more people about what I was going through, it started to become more clear. I started to get more clarity because I wasn't stuck in that distorted reality anymore. I was getting outside validation from people who cared about me, that something isn't right, that what you're going through doesn't make sense. Is it normal for narcissists to claim that their victims are the narcissist? Yeah, I think that is very textbook. Narcissists love to fucking project, you know? They're going to project everything about themselves onto you. They'll accuse you of being manipulative. They'll accuse you of gaslighting. They'll accuse you of being a narcissist. They'll accuse you of cheating when they're cheating. They'll accuse you of lying when they're lying. All of the things. They're going to project everything onto you.
Yes, that is very classic to be the victim. Very, very classic.
Yeah, they love playing the victim. And then getting into reactive abuse too, with them playing the victim, like they will put the focus on your reaction to what they did to you and then point the finger at you and say, look at you, you're being abusive right now, once you finally snap, because you've been internalizing all their abuse for months.
Yeah, and it makes sense that you get to a point where you snap, because like it is just repeated over and over again. And then when you snap, they're like, oh, perfect. You're the crazy one. See what you do to me? See how you make me feel? Yeah, this is crazy, right? And I'm going to go tell everybody else that you are. And so, I mean, they know exactly what buttons to push, and they wait for you to have that explosion. And then you question yourself, like, oh shit, like, am I the problem? Right? Because you're empathetic and you're a caring, compassionate person. And so they saw that from the beginning. And so they're waiting for their chance to break you so that you don't think it's them, you think it's you.
Yep. And not only that, but they'll record you in those moments too, so that they have evidence they can show people to frame you as the crazy one. I remember a specific time when I experienced reactive abuse. I had been internalizing so much shit for months. And like I found out he was doing something else in his phone. I was about to leave for work. And I just lost it. And I was just like screaming. It was this really high pitched scream that didn't even sound like me. And I was pushing him. I was pushing his chest, and he was like, look at you. You're getting worse and I'm getting better. And in that moment, I was like, fuck, like this doesn't even seem like me. Maybe I am getting worse. Maybe I am the problem, because what the fuck, why am I pushing him? You know, they want to get you to that breaking point. They want you to get out of character so that they can act like you're the one who has the problem and that you are the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are not yourself when you're in relationships like this.
Sarah says, how do you regain your self-esteem and start to feel whole again? We talk about that a lot in the course too, Katie. We have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
information about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, so there is something that I think it's there's different ways to kind of like purchase the course. Like you don't have to buy the whole thing. There is kind of like a figuring out like where I am, like am I with the narcissist, like, you know, validation, all of that kind of stuff. But then there's a part of like healing. And in one of our longer modules, there is an entire list of like different things where we pull from like different therapies, where we pull from like cognitive behavior therapy or dialectical behavior therapy or narrative therapy, cold exposure, like so many different techniques to help you get back into yourself. Because that's the thing, like you've dissociated to survive. You are not who you truly are in a relationship like this because you are in survival mode. You're just trying to make it day to day, right? And through this module and through the specific like module within the course, it helps you get back into your body. It helps you trust yourself. It helps you find the things that you love about yourself again. It helps you get to the point where you're like, even if you're in the relationship still, you're like, I don't need this anymore. Like this, I don't deserve this anymore, right? I never deserved this. You know, this was never my fault, right? All of this stuff, we call it like you get back into your resilient as fuck, like state of mind, your resilient state of mind. And it's not easy, but you have a real reality at that point and you trust yourself, and then you can, you know, walk out of this relationship or run out of this relationship, right? Like it gets you to a point where you kind of like start to see clearly. I think we call it lifting the fog.
Yeah. There's a whole
Yeah.
module in the course called Lifting the Fog, and
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I'm just repeating what Katie said, literally. Um, good input,
Mm-hmm.
me. I said the same shit that you just said. But yeah, what Katie was saying though, so we have the whole course, we have modules 1 through 8, and that's just like everything from beginning to end. You're just realizing all the way to healing. And then we have 2 mini courses. One of them is like kind of like an introductory course. If you're just like figuring out like, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on? Is this person a narcissist? Is this narcissistic abuse? You can do that one. Or there's the second mini course that is getting the fuck out of the relationship and how to heal from it and how to grieve everything. That's the second mini course. So you can get the whole thing from
Mm-hmm.
beginning to end, or you can get like the first stages, or a lot of people have been getting part 2 of the mini course to get out and heal. So it just depends on
Yeah.
what stage you're in and what fits you. And you can find,
Mm-hmm.
again, the link to the online course through the link in my bio. Derek texted me and said, am I being a good moderator? Yes, babe. Mm. Also, I forgot to mention, well, I said it a long time ago, but that we have a 10% off code for the course right now. If you apply the code at checkout, then you'll get 10% off. And that code is resilient AF10, like resilient as fuck, resilient AF10, and you'll get 10% off at checkout. Yeah, it's online. The course is online. It's literally you log into, after you purchase the course, you log into your account, and it's just like as if you were doing like online school. You log in and all the modules are on the side. You watch the video, you do the assignment, you have your journal prompts and whatever else goes with each module. So it's all set up and super user friendly. Yeah, CJ, the relationship does feel like just a huge bad dream that you can't wake up from. It's like fucking Groundhog Day.
I do see someone commenting on like sleep deprivation,
Mm.
and there's a whole thing that we go into it because that is a very classic thing that is utilized because if you don't sleep, it kind of ruins like every part of your life. Not only are they ruining your life, but then they're kind of like adding this like torture element on top of it where you're in this fog, nothing makes sense. They keep you up at night and they're doing this on purpose because like you then got to go to work and like maybe they don't have to, right? And so there's a whole thing. And I think it's like lifting the fog as well of like ways to kind of like restore your soul because you're not just like tired, like your body is aching because you have no sleep, right? And it's kind of like, especially like if it's been disrupted for so long, it can be really hard to like fall back asleep. It can be really hard to get back into that circadian rhythm. And so we go into depth about like why it's done, but then also like how to kind of like restore your sleep cycle because it is something that is so very much fucked with when you're with the narcissist that we wanted to address it and we wanted to give you steps to like how to help your body get back to where it needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. Sleep deprivation. Yes, the online course has a lot of information, like Katie mentioned, but just going back to sleep deprivation abuse itself is fucking awful. Tell me in the chat if you've experienced it before. I mean, I know I did. Um, Being woken up to be accused of something and arguing in the middle of the night, or doing the disappearing act in the middle of the night while I have to work the next morning. I mean, I used to be a teacher, and I had to get up at like 5:30, 5:45 in the morning to make it to work every day, and I was running off like 2 hours of sleep, sometimes no hours of sleep. And it's hard to go teach a class of second graders when you're not getting any sleep. Not only that, but it affects your ability to function. It affects your ability to work. It affects your ability to maintain relationships. It affects so many things. And it also makes you more susceptible to gaslighting when you literally don't have any sleep. You don't know what the fuck is going on. So you fall more easily into the manipulation and questioning your reality.
Mm-hmm.
So learning those
Mm-hmm.
skills to combat that sleep deprivation is really important. And Katie talks about a lot of therapeutic techniques in the course that can help you with that. Yes. Derek just said again, Katie's TikTok is at Counseling Classroom. So y'all make sure to give her a follow. The only reason she's on this, our couples account, Derek, my Derek and my couples account tonight, but her username is at Counseling Classroom.
Did you say our couple's account? Yeah. Thank you for letting me onto y'all's couple's account so that I could be here today.
Thank you for the roses and the gifts, y'all. I appreciate it. Celestial Squirt, thank you for the content. I'm a narcissist survivor as well. Sorry to hear that you've been through it, but glad you're here, a part of the community. Quinn, what you said, please answer this question, Cynthia, but what question is it? Type it again. I don't know where it is. There was a lot of stuff in here. It does. It's crazy. You even wake up out of your sleep in a nervous wreck. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yep. I remember nights where it wasn't even that he was like disappearing. Even if he was like there, I would still be a nervous wreck and have so much anxiety and couldn't fall asleep, period, just because I had anxiety being around him or like worried about what he's doing on his phone or who he's talking to, like all the time. Just everything about the relationship gives you fucking anxiety, which also affects your sleep. Christy says mine was the opposite. I'd be a crying mess and he'd be sleeping like a baby. Yeah, that's another thing. That lack of
Mm-hmm.
empathy is real and it is chilling. They do not care if you're crying unless it's during a love bombing phase in the relationship and they're faking it. But yeah, they won't flinch. They won't blink. They'll stare at you. It's an inconvenience to them. They'll sleep like a baby. They don't give a fuck when you're crying. Can't wait to heal and remember what a real relationship feels like. Yeah. You deserve that. You deserve to heal, you deserve peace, you deserve to be happy, and you deserve space in your life for a healthy relationship if and when the time comes. That's the thing, y'all. A lot of people are scared to leave these relationships. Especially, I mean, at any age, but especially if like you're in your 30s or 40s or later, then people always say, you know, like, I'm scared I'm not going to find anybody else. And the thing is, like, you really have to weigh the options. I can't promise that you will find somebody else, just keeping it real. I don't know if you will or won't, but at the end of the day, that doesn't mean to stay in an abusive relationship and be abused for the rest of your life because you're scared you might not find anyone else, you know? At least if you leave this relationship, you are safe, you are healthy, you are at peace, you are all of those things, and you also create the space for a possible healthy relationship. You won't have that space if you stay stuck in this abusive one. You'll never have that space.
Completely agree.
I finally had the courage to leave my narcissistic ex. I felt like I was going insane. Woo, kudos. Go you. It's not easy, Abby. Good for you. You made the right move. Tay says, did you tell Derek about your past relationship in the beginning? Uh, yes, but I wouldn't recommend that. But I've known Derek since high school. Like we dated in high school and we've been friends for a while. So like I already knew who he was as a person and trusted him as a person. So there was already that level of safety there. But I would not recommend if you are going on dates to go spill about your narcissistic relationship because as we know, narcissists keep record of all that shit to use against you later. So just be very careful in the dating world. You know, make that person gain your trust before you go oversharing all that shit. He said I was the reason he lied. Of course he did. Narcissists always blame their behavior on you. You know, they might say something like, well, I lied because I knew you were going to react poorly to it. And look at you. Look, you're doing exactly what I thought you would do. And it's taking off the focus of the fact that they lied. People lie because they want to protect themselves, not because they want to protect you. And when people lie to you and withhold information about what they have done, they are taking away your autonomy. And that's not okay. He didn't lie because of you. He lied because of himself.
Mm-hmm. It's just shifting the blame.
Mm-hmm. Textbook gaslighting. Mommy Desk says, how long does he last with the new supply? I don't know a timeline. You know, I don't know that person or what that'll look like. But what I do know is that it's going to be the same shit. It's going to be the same cycle. Narcissists don't self-reflect. They don't take accountability. They don't change themselves. They change victims. So, you know, it might look pretty from the outside at the beginning. You might see love bombing, even though you shouldn't be looking at their social media, period. But if you happen to, and you see those things or someone tells you about it, it always looks good from the outside and they're going to go through the same love bombing phase, but it's going to be the same fucked up cycle. Love bombing, devaluation, discard, and possibly Hoover, which, by the way, not all narcissists Hoover.
And that kind of goes back to, you know, like the blocking, because you will see love bombing and happiness, and then it makes you question, like, oh my God, like, are they finding happiness in someone else? Like, was I really the issue, right? Like, why are they so happy together? But then, like, that wasn't us. And so, again, it's not real. It's going to be the same cycle. It's all going to happen over again. You're not going to see the messiness because they don't want you to see the messiness, right? They don't want people to know what's behind the mask. But when you go and you look, your brain can't help but start to make, you know, connections that aren't facts. They're just kind of your thoughts, and thoughts aren't facts. They're not portraying facts to begin with, but then we get all confused, and it's just, it's too much. So it's really what Cynthia goes back to, like, block them because you don't need to see that.
Thank you for the gift. You've been sending a lot of stuff. Thank you so much. Katie, are there 530 people over there?
Is that what that means?
I don't know how it. Thank you for the cap.
I don't know what this means. Sorry. I don't know what it means.
I just saw the number and I was like, damn. I just love that it says Derek and Cynthia at the bottom.
There were so many people that came in and they were like, who? What? And I'm staring. And I'm grabbing the phone and I'm texting. I'm like, please, please, Cynthia, like, help me. Why are you not calling me in? I think I like tried to like join yours. I was like, invite her to mine. I don't care. These people don't know who I am. They're looking for Derek or Cynthia. That's not me. So mini little panic attack. Okay.
I was panicking over here too. I was like, fuck, I don't know how to get her in. All right, John says I'm being smeared as the problem. Yeah, John, they love to smear you as the problem to play the victim. It's just so textbook. Let me take all the focus off of me and what I've done and make you the problem and tell everyone else that you did these fucked up things, even though I'm the one who did them. The best way to respond to a smear campaign is to not respond at all. I know it's hard to not give in and explain yourself or defend yourself, but they want that reaction. And not only that, but if you start, explaining to whoever they're smearing you to, if you start talking to those people and defending yourself, it just kind of sets you up to look guilty, which is exactly how they want you to look. The best way is just not give a reaction. Don't respond to it. You know it's not true. You know what happened in the relationship. So why fucking explain otherwise? You don't have to defend your reality.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's baiting. It really is. It's a lot of different things, but I'm gonna come out front. I'm gonna jump the gun. I'm gonna put it out there before they can. I'm gonna smear everything before anybody else says it, right? And then she's gonna have to defend herself, or he's gonna have to defend himself, and then it's not gonna look good on their part. And then at the same time, like, they're gonna have to come to me because they want me to take it down. They want me to like say something else. They want me to like, they want to talk some sense into me, but like, you can't talk sense into me, right? They're just getting the supply again. So like Cynthia said, the best way to combat it is to not combat it at all, because then you're not taking the bait for what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Solly says the last hour with you has helped more than my last 4 therapy sessions. We're glad it's helpful. Allie, we're not doing like extra guests tonight, but you can ask questions in the chat and we'll be happy to answer. Sarah says my therapist pulled out her phone last night and introduced me. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you're here. And again, actually not again, because I never said this in the first place, but if you can't afford therapy at the moment, like you can't afford to pay a therapist every week, like we have the online course available. Katie's a therapist. She has so much therapeutic shit thrown into this online course that we made. So check it out, link in bio. Bianca says, I don't know if my husband is just toxic or a narcissist. A lot of people get stuck on that. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're a narcissist or not. I know I make content about narcissistic abuse and it can be validating and there's a lot of information and it's good to educate yourself. But at the same time, it does not matter. What matters is how he is treating you. Is he displaying abusive behaviors? Is he mistreating you? Is he disrespecting you? If all of those things are happening, or if even one of those things is happening, get the fuck out of it. He doesn't have to be a narcissist in order to be abusive. He doesn't have to be a narcissist in order for it to be a bad relationship or a toxic relationship.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually like one of the very first things that like we cover in the course, where it's kind of like, am I dealing with a narcissist, right? And the very first thing that we say is like, if we look at like the clinical data, like narcissists only make a very small amount of our population. Like it's almost like unfathomable. Like what? Like 1 to 5%? Like, are we serious? Like, what are all these people? But what we go into is that, there are people that have narcissistic traits without actually having like the label of narcissistic personality disorder. It's not about having the disorder, it's about how you're being treated, right? They might not even like be on the spectrum of like narcissist, but if you are experiencing the things that we outlined in that first module, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Those are your red flags right there to, reevaluate what's going on. It's not so much about the label, like Cynthia said, it's about like how you're being treated, how you feel in a relationship.
Right. Right. Exactly. Bao Chickawawa says, with the course, can it be finished in your own time or within the 8 weeks? Yeah, it's self-paced. You can do it at whatever pace fits you best. And once you purchase the course, it's yours forever. So there's no rush on when you complete it on your own time. All right. Melanie says, I'm setting up a new place. I feel sneaky that he has no idea. I shouldn't have had to do this. You're right. You shouldn't have had to do this. But whose fault is it that you had to do this? If it got to the point where you had to sneak and find a place for your own safety, then that's on him. He's obviously doing some fucked up shit to you to where it got to the point that you had to do this. And I think that you're very smart for doing this quietly and keeping yourself safe. There's nothing to feel guilty about. You're doing the right thing.
Completely agreed. Completely agreed. Mm-hmm.
Gump Morin 44. Yes, the link is in my bio for the online course. Augustine, it's a course. It's an online course that you can do from your computer. There are 8 modules. There's a video for each module, and then there's an assignment for each module, and then there are journal prompts and other. Katie's a cowgirl, or whatever. Anyway, yeah, there's 8 modules, and you do it on your computer. It's an online course. And it was created by me, a narcissistic abuse survivor and recovery coach, and Katie, licensed therapist. So we kind of have both perspectives there, and we're very confident that it can help y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And also, don't forget about the coupon code, ResilientAF10, and you get 10% off. Click the link in my bio to find the course, and when you're at checkout, ResilientAF10. I sometimes wonder if I'm the narcissist because I'm so lost. That's what they want you to wonder. That's exactly what they want you to wonder. They want you to be so confused and so fucking lost and feel so fucking crazy that you're like, oh, am I the narcissist? Maybe I should go to therapy. Maybe I should keep changing things about myself and keep trying harder and giving more to make this relationship work. If you're at the point where you're so confused that you don't even know what's going on anymore, this is a very abusive and toxic relationship. One of the narc abuse creators on here, I don't know if y'all know her, her name is Heather. She said a quote recently that was like, if you feel confused, you're being abused. And I love it. Like, you should not feel that fucking confused in your relationship. Should not be that confusing. And also the fact that you're sitting there wondering if you're the narcissist and like taking accountability for things that you've done is likely a sign that like, it's not you. A narcissist is not going to sit there and say, I wonder, like, let me sit here and self-reflect and think, like, what have I done wrong? And maybe I should improve this. Am I the narcissist? They're not going to do that shit.
Yeah, like that part is huge because they're not thinking that. That is not even crossing their mind, And I would be curious what would happen if you were to remove yourself a bit from this relationship and to see what your behavior and your tendencies are like then. Because when we are like butted up against somebody who is toxic, who is abusive, who is manipulative, like we can't help but start to like take on some of that just to survive the environment that we are in. And if you're questioning like, whoa, like this doesn't feel right, like is it me? Like if you've never had those thoughts before, like if you've never wondered that before, if you've never like had that cross your mind, then it's not, right? You were just in an unprecedented environment and relationship that is causing you to do things just so that you can survive. And I'm really curious what would happen when you are outside of it, when you're away from that very, very distorted reality, because you might notice like some of your truer characteristics coming out because you don't need to be so hard and exterior and so manipulative just to get through the day.
Yes, Eva, I offer coaching. You can find that link through my bio also. It says one-to-one Zoom sessions and texting passes. Katie, what did you just say? I wanted to comment on it. I can only remember like one thing at a time, and I can't remember.
Like I'm wondering what what this person would be like if they were away from the situation, if they like were not in this distorted reality, if they weren't having to like, present this way just to survive, day to day. Okay, got it.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
I
the.
was just, yeah.
You triggered it. Let me get it before it's gone. Oh shit, it's gone.
Okay. No. Are you serious?
Yeah, it went away. I hate it here. Let's see. Oh, I know what it was. When you do start to do things in the relationship that can mimic the narcissist, and like Katie said, it's out of like, it's to protect yourself. I know that like just being fully transparent, like when I was in that relationship, I was like sometimes doing counter manipulation because I was trying to test this person to see what the fuck was going on and to see if I was crazy or not, or like setting up certain situations to see a certain reaction so that I could figure out what the fuck was going on. So yes, you do start to do a little bit of toxic shit in the relationship because you're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on and you're trying to protect yourself. But like Katie said, like, would you be doing those things outside of that relationship? Or is it this person and this situation and this toxicity that's making you this person that you're not? I bet when you get out, you won't be doing that shit. I'm glad it's been helpful, Jennifer. How do you break a trauma bond with someone you still love? I want to challenge you to pick apart that question in general, because I touched on this earlier, but it was like an hour ago. Like there is a difference between love and trauma bonding. And Katie and I actually have part of this in a module in the course too, where we talk about what trauma bonding is versus what love looks like and what components go into a healthy relationship and how to tell the difference. But yeah, the first thing is kind of dehumanize the situation and the person. Don't think of it as love. Start talking to yourself and saying, don't tell yourself like, how am I supposed to stay away from this person that I love so much? I'm so in love with them. Tell yourself, I can break this addiction to a toxic cycle. Like start using words like that so that you see it as more like mechanical instead of like emotional, because it's not love. There's nothing that we love about this person other than the person they showed us in the beginning that doesn't exist. That's a hard thing to accept, right? But it's the truth. That's the only thing we love, the person that they showed us from the beginning and the glimpses that we get throughout the relationship. But currently, the way that they're treating you when they're being abusive, do you love that shit? Because I didn't love it. I didn't actually love who that person was behind the mask. And so, you really have to focus again on the fucked up things that they're doing. Stop focusing on those breadcrumbs and who you want them to be and who they were at the beginning. You have to take the focus off of all of that.
And there was one person on here who they keep commenting, and like I want to make sure that their comment was answered. And it's kind of I think it was Allie, like how to not go back. How do I not go back? How do I trust myself? How do I get to a point where like where I don't keep doing this? And there's not just like one answer for that, because again, it's so far reaching. Okay. Because it's like so far reaching and it touches so many parts of us. But there is one specific module where we go into depth on something that we call resilient AF, like resilient as fuck skills. And each of those letters are something that walks you through to get you to a resilient state of mind where you trust yourself, where you're not to a point where you're like, oh, like I feel like this is how I am, or you're like, I think that this is what I need to do. You're in the middle where you're not either I'm feeling or I'm thinking, but like I know what to do. I know what is best for me. I trust myself. You're coming back into your body. And so but the one thing like that we can kind of like talk about like right here and now is just accepting like the situation for what it is. Like if you're here if this is resonating with you, if you have feelings of like, maybe I'm dealing with a narcissist, like even the inkling of that is like, there's something like messed up in the relationship. Because if you're having those thoughts, then it's like, in a healthy relationship, we wouldn't be thinking that I'm with a narcissist. We wouldn't be so hurt that we would be like coming on to, a live and like asking these questions and like feeling like the desperation of like wanting to feel validated and wanting to know what to do and like, how do I not do this? Like there is a part of you that knows that it is wrong and that it is not okay. And we need to listen to that part, and we need to like accept reality for what it is, right? Because it's painful no matter what. You're gonna have the pain no matter what. Life is painful. But the part that adds the suffering is the non-acceptance, right? And it's really, really hard because of what Cynthia said before, with like the cognitive dissonance and like everything else that like goes along with it. But like when we don't accept what's going on, like that equals the suffering. So just accepting like, this is a really fucked up like thing. Like I cannot go back to this, right? I have to accept that this is not my person. And that's the hardest thing to accept. But once we start to do that, then we can start to look at it clearly, and we can start to take the steps forward so that we can do what we need to do for ourselves, not for them anymore, but for ourselves, so that I can continue and move on with my life and not continue to like just be sucked dry by someone who really doesn't give a fuck about me.
Rebecca says, I always get told that I make him feel worthless, unwanted, and unloved. Worthless, unwanted, and unloved. Yes, I got told the same thing. The narcissist wants you to believe that you are the cause of them having a fucked up life. They want everything to be your fault so that they can play the victim. And they, especially with covert narcissists, they have that self-deprecating shit about them. Woe is me. I'm the fucking victim with everything. You made me feel this way. I was never this, upset or this angry before I met you. It must be you that made me this way. They want you to feel like it's your job to regulate their emotions. And it's not. The way that they are is not your responsibility. They just want you to feel like it is. They want you to feel guilty so that it makes it even harder for you to separate yourself from the situation. It's not your fault he feels worthless or unwanted or unloved. Narcissists are bottomless fucking pits, and they're black holes. And no matter what you do for him, he's still going to say that shit. I don't care if I can't even think of an example, but I don't care what you do. It's never going to be enough. He'll still say that same shit. Even if he gave you a literal list and said, do every single thing on this list, and then I'll feel worthy, and I'll feel wanted, and I'll feel loved. You go off and you spend 3 fucking years doing everything on that list. He's still going to come back and say, I still feel worthless, and this is your fault. It does not matter what you do.
Yeah, when you meet where the bar is, they're just going to move it.
Yep, moving that goalpost all the time. Difference between covert and regular narcissists. There's like several different types of narcissists, and Katie and I go into that in the course too. Like Katie talks about. Well, Katie, do you want to talk about it? Like that part a little bit?
Yeah. So depending on the sources and depending, like what articles you read and just kind of like, communities that kind of endorse different types of narcissists and don't. But there are a few that are kind of like well known, whereas like you've got your overt narcissist where, that grandiose, like full of themselves, like, really presents in a cocky way, right? Could not be wrong. And that's kind of like that classic narcissist, like what we think of. And then we have that covert, which is becoming much more well known. It's one of the most well known ones now, because that is the one that we're talking about, where it's like, the manipulation is much more subtle. A lot of times it's kind of like you cannot pick this up right away. Because they're very personable and they're very like loving. Same thing as like, narcissists in the beginning, like you really are kind of drawn to them because they're charismatic. But what you'll start to notice is, this isn't what I wanted. Like, I wish that they would have given me like a different food, or like, You really hurt my feelings when you said that. And, actually, there's been a lot of times like you've hurt my feelings. And it's just very like, they're always the victim. That's kind of the thing. And like Cynthia she talks about this in the course where it's like narcissists also don't fit into boxes. They kind of like move in like between what kind of like works for them at the time. And so you might have someone who you think is like malignant 1 second. You might have someone who think like, oh, they're totally over it 1 second. And then the next thing you're like, but wait a minute, are they playing the victim now? I mean, they can kind of like morph into what they need to be in the moment. But when you're kind of like dealing with somebody who is more overtly or more of a covert narcissist, the world is out to get them and nothing has ever gone their way. And it's not so much in like an aggressive way, but it's in more of a like, oh, I can't ever catch a break. Yeah. Kind of like that way. If that makes sense, how I was describing that.
It's like, it's all, Katie's absolutely right. Everything that she said. And plus it's like it's just always something with them, which is funny because they project everything to you and tell you it's always something with you when you actually bring up shit that matters, but it's always something with them. There's always some sort of fucking crisis. Like you just make it past this crisis and you think you're finally going to be able to focus on the relationship again and get the person back from the beginning. And then next thing you know, oh, another fucking crisis pops up. Oh, now I have to help them through this shit too. It's just always something. It's exhausting. It's draining. And not only that, but these crises are their fault. They create this chaos and do stupid shit and create these crises. And then they're also the victim and they need you to fix them for them. So it's exhausting. They create shit. They're the victim in the shit that they create. And they have this self-deprecating shit. It's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we go in the beginning in kind of like the introductory part of the course, we talk a lot about like the basics of the different types of narcissists and how to recognize and the red flags and things like that.
Yeah, the whole first course is just kind of like, clinically, what is it? What does it look like in the real world? All of the red flags to kind of look for. Then we go into like different types, right? Because, even if we get a little bit more nuance, there's like, spiritual narcissists and then like somatic narcissists and things like that, where we kind of go into a little bit more depth about how it can kind of present in different people.
Yep. That's kind of the gist of the first module. And then there's like a checklist where you can check, like, am I experiencing these things in my relationship, and kind of recognize those patterns in your relationship before you move on to the next module. All right. Paula says, what about when they make you feel like you mean everything and are special, but they treat you badly? Yeah, that's what creates that cognitive dissonance. And that's another thing that makes it so hard to fucking leave, because they're telling you all of the right things. Oh, I love you so much. You're so special to me. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. But then they turn around and they treat you like shit, or they turn around and they cheat on you, or they turn around and they repeatedly lie to you and they're having a double life. Shit just never makes sense in a narcissistic relationship. Their words don't match their actions. There's just a shit ton of inconsistency through everything in the relationship, which makes you feel crazy. And you stick around trying to put the puzzle pieces together, trying to make sense of it, and you never do. So that's like, again, it makes it so hard to leave because you just want it to make sense. So you stick around like trying to find clues and like writing notes in your phone of like how events happen, because you just want it to make sense. But it doesn't make sense, and it never will.
Yeah, when you have like your word.
Go
oh, go ahead.
No, go.
No, go ahead.
No, go.
Wait. Go. When the words are not matching up with actions repeatedly over and over again, that's manipulation. Like, just point blank period. That's being manipulated in a nutshell.
Yep. And yeah, the words without change behavior and the words without action, there's that classic quote, right? Like that equals manipulation. Yeah. And the thing about narcissists is that people say that they never apologize or they never take accountability. And like, yes, I agree. They never take authentic accountability, but some narcissists do. Thank you for the little heart. Some narcissists do apologize, and some narcissists do take like fake accountability and promise change. And you really latch onto it because they're having these moments of like seemingly clarity to where you're like, oh shit, like they're self-reflecting. Oh shit, they're going to make some changes. Oh shit, they finally get it. They're really sorry. They really do love me. and they dangle that carrot of hope. Hope is fucking dangerous in these situations. You latch onto that hope, and then as soon as you start to let your guard down and feel safe, then next thing you know, you turn around and they're doing the same shit that they just said they were going to promise they would stop doing. So, and then again, they come back again. Oh, I promise I'm going to change it. I'm going to stop doing it. Like, you're going to see a different me. Okay, I finally feel safe again. Let me let my guard down. Oh shit, they're doing it again. Like, it's the same cycle over and over. Carlita says, is anybody's narc a habitual cheater? Narcissists have a very high tendency to cheat. Infidelity is probably going to happen. And some people say like, oh, they never cheated. And I haven't met every narcissist, so I can't say whether or not every narcissist cheats, but I'll stick to that they have a very high tendency to cheat. They need supply. They need different people. They need validation from different people. They need attention from different people. They don't have that sense of self to where they're able to just exist within themselves. They need people to tell them who they are. They need people to flatter them and that type of shit. And also, even if you think like, oh, they never cheated, you don't know who the narcissist is. Like, you never know who they really are. They have that whole mask on. They're living a whole double life. They live in layers of lies. So what you think you know is probably not based in reality. So don't get so stuck to a story to where you know for a fact that it's true, because you just don't know. Life after narcs. Your crisis video solidified it for me. Yeah, literally crisis after crisis with the covert narcissist. It's so true. When you pull back your energy and attention, what does that do to them? It makes them feel that loss of power and control. It depends though. Like, when you start gray rocking or like emotionally detaching from them, again, they're going to feel that loss of power and control. And initially it's probably going to anger them, and you'll see like an escalation in their behavior because they want that power and control back. But in some situations, after they, try to get it back and they don't, well, they look for it elsewhere, and they might leave you alone and discard you. It just depends on the situation. And we talk about that in the course too, the emotional detachment. And we have like a whole gray rock script and exercises where we give like prompts, and you can practice how you would respond to different things in order to like emotionally detach yourself.
Yeah, because it does take practice. Like we have, when we are in a relationship for so long and we've been doing a pattern for so long, it's really, really hard for on the spot our brain to do something different, because like the circuitry is there and it's kind of like ingrained. And so it is important to kind of like practice what you would say in certain situations, like how you would say it, things like that. And it's not going to be perfect the first time you do it. It's going to be hard. It's going to feel unnatural. You're going to feel like maybe a little guilty, like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Like I'm feeling like a little bit like I'm being dismissive. But again, like Cynthia says, like it is for detachment, and it is to protect yourself.
Yeah, a lot of people start to feel guilty or feel like they're being abusive when they gray rock, and it's not. Like, gray rocking is not the same thing as stonewalling. Like when the narcissist like won't talk to you, or they're being short with you, or they're like withholding communication and affection, that's not the same thing as gray rocking. They're doing that to gain power and control. They're doing that to manipulate. They're doing that to avoid accountability. You are trying to emotionally detach so you can get the fuck out of the relationship. There's a difference. CJ says this course is necessary. Thank you both. I agree. We think it's really valuable. Again, y'all, you can find the link to the online course that we created through the link in my bio. I know I keep saying this, but I don't know if new people are here or not, but I'm Cynthia, narcissistic abuse survivor. This is my best friend, Katie, who's a licensed therapist, and we put together an online course about narcissistic abuse recovery. And we're super confident that it can help you guys. You can find that information through the link in my bio, and there's also a coupon code that you can use at checkout. That's ResilientAF10 for 10% off. Vampire Diary. I mean, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Vampy Fairy. Do you do emergency one-on-ones? It depends. Like, not tonight. I can't do one tonight, but If you message me on IG and you need a time that's like outside of my normal availability, if I can do it, if I have the time for it, sometimes I do. So just you can message me on IG if what you see on my calendar doesn't work for you. Can couples therapy help? No. People go to couples therapy to work on the couple. The narcissist needs to work on themselves, and they're not going to self-reflect or think that they have a problem. They're going to get you in couples therapy so that they can manipulate the couples therapist. That's what's going to happen if you go to couples therapy.
And, like this is actually something that we talk about like in the course, where it's kind of like there's still a lot like in the therapy world that we don't know about narcissism, that like we are learning about just narcissists in general. And you would have to find a therapist, a couples therapist, which not everybody is a couples therapist. You would have to find a couples therapist who is versed in narcissistic abuse, who would be able to read between the lines, who would be able to recognize this behavior. Because what happens a lot of times is this couple gets in there and then, the narcissist puts the mask on, puts on a show, plays a victim, and then, the partner's like, what's going on, right? And they might have a little bit of like reactionary, like this isn't what's going, and so it's just a very distorted view of what the relationship is, and the therapist can't do much about it because authenticity is not showing up in front of her. And so you'd have to have somebody who really understands this inside and out, who can pick this out. And then at that point, the therapist would probably say like, you guys need to have your own therapist because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on outside of a couples.
Yeah. And also, like, just for an example, a lot of times in narcissistic relationships, the narcissist has convinced you that like your communication is the problem. Like, because when you're with a narcissist, you keep trying to explain the same shit over and over and over and over to them for 73 years and it never gets through to them because they don't want to receive it. Right. And so they end up just acting like you're not making sense, or that you are bad at communicating. And so then you get in couple therapy, and next thing you know, you're working on communication instead of working on the fact that this person is abusing you. The goal gets twisted into like you taking a partial accountability for the abuse instead of the focus going where it needs to be, which is the fact that you are in a fucking abusive relationship. So no, couples therapy, don't go to couples therapy with them. Carlita said, I blame his mama. Do you pick up those bad habits? You can. Katie and I talked about that a little while ago. Like, you can pick up toxic or narcissistic behaviors when you're in the relationship to protect yourself. Even like lying, y'all. I know when I was in this situation, like I started lying about things that I didn't even need to lie about because I was like trying to protect myself from like getting accused of something. Like, because I was getting accused of so many different things that I wasn't doing. So sometimes I would like try to stay ahead of the game and like lie about something just because I was scared I was going to get accused of something. So yeah, you could pick up toxic behaviors, but they are reversible. And like Katie mentioned earlier, the reason you're picking up on these habits is because you're with a really toxic, abusive person. So the best thing you can do is get yourself out of this situation so you can reverse those habits and become healthy again. Narcissistic fleas. Yeah, exactly. Vamp Fairy. Yes, I did the same thing. And I think that's why he has me so convinced I'm a narcissist. Exactly. Yes. They push you to where you start doing these things that are out of character. Like I just mentioned, the lying. And then they'll catch you in a lie that you only told to protect yourself because you were going to get accused of something. And now they're saying, well, look at you. You're exactly what I thought you were. They set you up to fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, in relationships like this is not a normal relationship. This is not the norm. This is not what just being a normal human being like can survive. You have to change. You have to kind of like, modify who you are as a person just to survive what you are going through. And so you're going to pick up on the tendencies. You're going to pick up on all of these things. And, kind of like what we said earlier, I think that we would be curious what it would be like when you leave. And if Cynthia said this before, but like, if you're asking yourself, like, wait a minute, like, is it me? Right? If there's any type of self-awareness, then it's not you. because they're not having the same reaction. Like it is not even crossing their mind. And if this isn't something that you've dealt with before or questions that you've had about yourself before and it's only been in this relationship, then it's the relationship that is definitely like changing behavior patterns, and you're changing behavior patterns just so that you can survive the toxic thing that you're going through.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. When you leave, why do you feel like you need them back? Smiley Daisy. Well, it all goes back to a few things, but the main thing is trauma bonding. You know, that cycle of abuse, the extreme highs and the extreme lows leave you craving the next high and feeling addicted to the next high from this person specifically. That harm and soothe cycle where they're hurting you, but they also make you feel good again. They're hurting you, but they also make you feel good again. They're hurting you, but then they relieve you from the pain. So it feels like when you're feeling like shit and you're depressed after you leave them, it feels like they're the only person who can relieve that pain. They're the only person who can make you feel good again. So you're like, shit, maybe I should just go back. But that's not the answer, because once you get back, pretty soon after, you're going to wonder, how the fuck did I end up here again?
Mm-hmm. It's an addiction. It really, really is. You know, like addictive cycles can happen in so many different things other than like substances or alcohol. But like this is an addictive pattern that your body is hormonally and like chemically going through every time that you have that push and pull from them. And so what your body is then thinking is the answer is to go back, because that's what has soothed it, you know, so many times. But it's like breaking that cycle is the only way to permanently like get yourself out of that cycle.
Exactly. Y'all don't say weird shit in the chat. I will block you. Don't come in here with weird shit. Meg says, no one understands this. My family of all people are making shit so much worse. It's really hard to explain to people who have not been through it. It's really hard, and it can be really invalidating when people look at you and they're like, you're telling me that this person did all of this to you and you're still in the relationship? Why don't you just leave? Like, what's wrong with you? Well, that's not very helpful. And what that actually does is it's counterproductive, and it makes you feel ashamed, and it makes it easier to just stay in the relationship because you already feel so ashamed. You know, you feel even weaker when people talk to you like that. So my advice for that is, if people are talking to you that way and they're making you feel worse, don't talk to those people about it. Talk to people who are being encouraging, who are reminding you how strong you are. Katie used to do that for me. She never judged me. She was never invalidating. She listened. She told me that I needed to get out, but she was always that open door, showing empathy towards the situation and kind of like helping guide me. That's the type of person you need to be talking to about it, not people who are like shaming you for it.
Mm-hmm. And it's really, it is hard to find someone like that. And I think that with Cynthia, like I recognized things because I've witnessed this before, you know, like I understood the narcissist cycle. I understood narcissists. I had seen it before. And so when it was happening before my eyes to somebody who like is my best friend and who I love and I care about so deeply, like I knew what would happen if I judged. I knew what would happen if I like didn't empathize. I knew what would happen if I just said, you know, you're better than this. Get out of it. Like, what are you doing? Why are you still in it? But I also knew because like I've seen people for years be stuck in it. I see people for years not even recognize that they're in a relationship like this. And so I knew how hard it is. And, you know, if you're a friend of somebody going through this, like learning a little bit about it yourself, like learning about the addictive cycles, learning about trauma bonding, learning about like why people get stuck in this, learning how to help, you know, like those are the kinds of things that will really help a friend in this situation.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And also, y'all, isolation is a huge thing in these situations, right? Some people get so isolated that they no longer have anyone to talk to. And I hear that a lot. It's like, well, you're telling me that I need to talk about it, but the people I do talk to invalidate me, and the people who I used to talk to cut me off. So Cynthia, who am I supposed to talk to now? You know? And the thing is, like, even within this narcissistic abuse community online, you can find people here. You can make friends here. I've made friends here. I hold monthly support groups on Zoom for people who are going through it, where we share stories and bounce ideas off of each other. There are ways outside of your normal like friends and family where you can find support. And also in the online course that Katie and I created, we have a whole bunch of resources for support, for building a support system, which is really important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Smiley Daisy, I still have 2 spots left in the one this month is on the 25th, not this Sunday, not tomorrow, but the following Sunday. And there are still 2 spots left in it. You can find the link in my bio, click on Zooms, and then click on Resilient AF Circle, and you can register for it. And also, again, reminder, the link to the online course that Katie and I keep referencing is also in my bio. And that 10% off code is Resilient AF 10.
Mm-hmm.
They must have such sad, miserable lives. Yeah, but you know who else has a sad, miserable life? You, when you're in it. So what we need to do is stop feeling so sorry for the narcissist and stop empathizing with the narcissist and do those things for ourselves, because we deserve to not have a sad, miserable life. And it's always going to be that way with the narcissist. Put the focus back on yourself and what you deserve. Also, reminder.
And like go ahead.
I was just going to say Katie's username is at Counseling Classroom to follow her. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And I also wanted to say, like, 2 things can be true. Like, you can feel sad for this person because, like, some people it's not a romantic relationship. Like, you can grieve. It could be a family member, like it could be your parent, it could be a sibling, it could be an aunt or an uncle, it could be somebody who you like truly love and you want the best for them, and like the completely cutting off and no contact like just maybe isn't even possible. But like 2 things can be true. I can wish the best for them, and I can wish them well, and I can be really sad and hurt and pained and grieve what I'm never going to have with that person. And I can put up really fucking firm boundaries and not let that seep into my life. I can love them from afar. I can do 2 things at once. Like 2 things can be true. Like this person I have to put up very strong, rigid boundaries with. And I wish them well. I don't wish ill of them. Like there's always going to be love for me because maybe, this is someone that is in my family. Or maybe you get to the point where it's just like, no, they fucked me over like so many times, like I really don't care. Whatever it is, whatever works for you, right? But like if you have that in you where it's like, oh, I just feel so bad for them. Like, yeah, you can definitely feel bad. And at the same time, like, don't sacrifice yourself because you feel bad for them. You can still protect yourself and do what you need to do for you and feel bad for them. Those 2 things can coexist.
Yeah. Katie, you brought up a good point about like not sacrificing yourself, because I think the biggest thing that we do in these situations that makes us feel so tiny and weak and incapable of leaving is that we sacrifice everything about ourselves, and we have that self-betrayal to the point that we're so disconnected from ourselves that we don't recognize ourselves anymore. And we feel like we need the narcissist in order to know who we are. We need the narcissist in order to feel okay about ourselves. So it's really important to start connecting with yourself again. And like Katie said, to stop sacrificing yourself for this person. That's the only way that you're going to find your way out of it. I was so exhausted with him, and now I don't sleep well. I think we talked about this a little bit ago, but in the course, in the online course, in module 5, Katie goes through some experiential exercises that can really help with your sleep patterns and get you back sleeping when you're leaving a relationship like this, or even when you're still in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Cynthia brings up a good point. Like the course is definitely like modules, it's information, there's worksheets that go with it, there's surveys that go with it, there's journal prompts that go with it. Like it really is inclusive, but there's also like experiential parts of it where like we're kind of like doing things together. And somebody asked like, "Oh gosh, like do I have to get this done like in the, it's 8 modules, do I have to do it in 8 weeks?" And no, it is completely on your time. Like once you go in and log in, you have it forever. You can go back, you can look at things, like you can print out the stuff, like you can do whatever you need to make the course like fit into your life.
Absolutely. And also the biggest thing is I feel like some people are out there just throwing together videos and calling it a course, but we spent a whole year creating this course, y'all, like a whole year pouring everything into it, making sure that we gathered all the right information, made it the best it could be, creating the videos. My fiance spent hours and hours and hours editing the videos to make it nice and working on the documents and the assignments. It's really like it has everything that you need. It's not just something that's thrown together last minute. Like it's really good for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
MJ, you sign up through the
This
link.
is
You sign up through the link in my bio. If you go to my TikTok page and click the link in my bio, it's the second link in the milkshake. So click the link in my bio and then go to the second one that says Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Course, and you can use the 10% discount code at checkout. It's Resilient AF 10. Resilient AF 10 for 10% off. And also, just a reminder, we have the full course, modules 1 through 8, that has everything about narcissistic abuse from beginning, just figuring out what's happening, to getting the fuck out and healing. Or we have mini courses, one for like if you're just figuring out what's going on, and then another one for getting out of the relationship, emotionally detaching, staying no contact, healing, and grieving. So whatever fits best for you. We have that full course and then 2 mini courses.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Katie, before that?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember. Oh, I think I was gonna say because we just like started laughing just simultaneously, and I was like, yes, we did like pour our heart and soul like into this, and we really put our due diligence into everything. But also, this is just kind of like how we are together. We like are so in sync because we've known each other forever, and it was actually really amazing to work with Sin and like to put this together. And there was of course we're talking about a very serious topic, but like there was a lot of like laughs and a lot of fun along the way. We're super goofy together. Maybe it shows up a little bit like while we're here together, but yeah, so it hopefully you guys kind of feel that too, like when you're going through the course, like how much we actually like enjoyed putting this together and working together. Mm-hmm.
We definitely put love into it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like Katie said, we've been friends for 20 years, so it was just like you can't do the course and not feel the love behind it, because we literally love each other so much. So I still think they come into our lives to teach us self-love. Here's the thing. I agree that from this experience, we can start to look within and do that inner healing and inner work. But I don't like to say that that person taught me self-love, because he didn't. You taught yourself. Like, you made you stronger. You did those things for yourself. Don't credit the narcissist or the abusive person. Like, we took lessons from that experience and turned it into something on our own. Give yourself the credit. Thank you, Raven. CJ said you're definitely friends for a reason. Katie and I used to teach together too. We taught at the same school. She taught kinder and I taught 2nd grade.
Yeah, we went to middle school together, high school together, college together. parts of college together. And then we worked together. Now we're working together again. Yeah, we just can't get away from each other. We just keep coming back together.
Mm. Scratch that from the record, please. I immediately regret doing it.
I loved it.
I live in Texas. Yes, I was a teacher. I taught pre-K and then first grade and then second grade. And Katie taught kinder the whole time, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Jess, thank you for sharing that. I'm really glad that the content has been super helpful. Ooh, you're in Texas too? What part? Got a few people from Texas in here. I feel so
Awesome.
weird like being around people from being away from the world. What do you mean, Smiley Daisy? Two peas in a pod. Yep, we are. How do you deal with narcissistic relationship coaches and no, not referring to any of yours? What do you mean, how do you deal with them? I'm confused about the question. Did you both have a narcissistic relationship and help each other? So Katie helped me when I was going through my narcissistic relationship, and Katie was kind of like a witness.
Yeah, no, I just growing up, like there a narcissist in my family, like very close in my family, and so it's just something that I grew up thinking was normal. It's something that I grew up thinking like everybody had. Once I started getting older and just more life experience, I realized like what was going on, like within my family system was not normal, and it, still persists to this day, and it really opened my eyes, and so I'm very like almost hyper aware when I see people like in situations like this.
Everybody needs a Katie in their life. I don't know what I would have done without her when I was in that relationship. Something that we talk about in the course too, when we talk about building a support system, just to touch on it for a second, is like continuing to reach out to that person. Like if you're the friend on the outside, like keeping that door open, because there's so much shame when you're the person who's going through it. Especially like I know for myself, like let's say some fucked up shit happens and I text like Katie about it and I text two other friends about it and I tell them everything that happened and I'm like, oh yeah, like I can't do this anymore. I'm going to be done. And then the next thing you know, like they text me a few days later and I'm like, shit, like I'm over it now. Like I'm back with them, So what am I supposed to tell this person that I just told all of this crazy shit to and said I was leaving? There's so much shame surrounding it. But like Katie, like I said before, she never judged me. So that's important as a friend from the outside, like keeping that door open and still like reaching out to them. Because after, some crazy shit happens and then you go back, you don't want to reach out again and tell them, oh, I'm back with him. So you kind of keep that door closed for a while. But if that friend keeps reaching out here and there, then like, oh, I still have like people who care about me on the other side of this situation.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and um, if you are kind of like on the other side of the situation, I think that, we said this earlier, but just kind of like, if you're here, you're kind of suspecting that they may be like in a narcissistic relationship. And so learn a little bit about it. Like what is it like? Like, why is it so hard? Like, and just empathizing and validating, because that person like wants somebody to understand so badly. Nobody else gets it. It's really hard to understand. It's hard to understand because it is like unbelievable. Like it really is, some of the stuff that like you're going through. And so it is hard for people to understand. But when you are that friend that like empathizes and validates and keep showing up, like you're giving that person hope. And it can be dangerous, like Cynthia said, when like that hope is put with the narcissist. You still want that hope. You can give it to somebody outside of the relationship, and you can have somebody like grow that hope, kind of like in an area that has nutrients and has sunlight and has somebody that can take care of it and water it. Because if you're trying to grow your hope in this like wasteland, it's just going to continually like die.
Damn, that was good, Katie. It was.
Thank you.
I was like, shit. Yes. Karen says, why don't I want to make him look bad? Well, you're conditioned to trauma bonding causes you, it conditions you to want to protect this person. Like, you feel guilty if they get in trouble. You feel guilty if they get exposed. You feel guilty if they get arrested. You almost protect them above yourselves. And it's because of the trauma bonding. But I will remind you that your safety and your protection is priority here.
And it does, you know, like come from also when they, it is similar to what Cynthia was saying before. Like there is some shame involved because like this is a person that most likely like you've had to defend. This is a person that most likely like people are telling you like is not good. This is a person that like you've kind of, you know, sacrificed yourself for and like really went out on the limb like for everybody kind of around you. And then here goes this person like doing exactly all the shit that like everybody said they were going to do or like that they've done in the past. And here you are and it's like, oh my God. So it's kind of like a little bit like to protect that person, but it's a lot of it to like kind of protect you so that you don't get the wrath from everybody that's like witnessing this and you don't have that shame triggered because guess what? That shame is already being triggered like on the like every single day by this person. The last thing that I want is from like people on the outside as well.
Very true. I do have to hop off of here in just a second. But before we do, red hair girl, you're gonna have triggers. It's gonna happen. It's something that you can work through and heal through and do EMDR therapy. Also in the course, Katie goes into, again, Katie's a therapist in the online course. She goes into like all the specific types of therapy that can help with this, what you should be looking for, what type of therapist you should be looking for, types of therapy.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, like, yes, there is, you know, EMDR, but like you want a therapy that is going to target trauma specifically because that is what you're going through, right? Like, and it may not be like just straight PTSD where it's like one big thing that happened. Like you're having a bunch of like traumas that are happening regularly, right? You're going to have something like that's very complex and something that we call like complex, like PTSD. And so that's very insidious and it's very like much wired into like your body, not only your mind, but also your body. And so you need a type of therapy that is going to like be more body based because of how much trauma your body is storing. And we go into like how trauma is stored and all of that in the course as well.
Yep. Yeah. Yvonne, there can definitely be a calm narc. You might be referring to a covert narcissist. The abuse and the manipulation can look a lot more subtle and not your textbook, like, oh, I'm going to yell and like fucking scream and break shit. It doesn't always like look like that. Well, guys, again, thank y'all so much for being with us tonight. And we've enjoyed answering questions and chilling with y'all. And don't forget about, does this even show up at the top of the screen, the thing?
I see it. Yeah.
Oh, well, why did you say it like with a weird voice? Is it kind of not there or something? Like, what do you mean? I see it.
The way that you said it, it was going to be like a banner. It's more like a picture. And it says, it shows the course, Resilient as Fuck, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery, new online course. And I think that that's everything that we wanted it to say. One more thing, though, is that you can, there is a 10% off like code, Resilient AF10. So please use that.
Yes. That's only going to be available for a little bit longer. It was actually supposed to expire yesterday, but we extended it a little bit. So if you want to use that coupon code, get in there. So again, we have that online course available from the narcissistic abuse survivor slash therapist point of view. Yes, it is. It does cost. Yeah, we spent a year making it and pouring a lot into it, and there's lots to go in it. So yeah, it's not free, but we do have. I mean, you can check out all my free content, and things like that. And yeah, Katie's
And you know,
TikTok is
like we
counseling classroom.
thank you, yeah, at counseling classroom. And you know, we understand that maybe like the entire like bundle, the full course may be like out of pocket right now, like completely understand that. And so that's why we did want to offer, you know, segments of it as well. So like if you're kind of like just wondering or just want to know more about like, wait a minute, am I even like dealing with a narcissist? Like, what do you mean like trauma bond? What is this like narcissistic cycle that you keep talking about? Like, I just want to know more about what this is and what it looks like. Like that's kind of the first like 4 modules. And so we have that available. So definitely check that out. And then kind of like if you were more on the other side where it's like, okay, I'm having a really hard time not going back. How do I heal from this? How do I move on? How do I like go no contact? How do I like stop being sucked back in? That's kind of like the last part of this. And so those are the last 4 modules. And so we understand that like maybe the bundle is a little bit out of pocket, and so we wanted to make it a little bit more accessible for everyone by presenting it in that way as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we have options for y'all, and you pick what fits your needs best, but do make sure to use that 10% coupon while it's available. So again, it's Resilient AF10 for 10% off. And love y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.